Welcome to Backyard Cigars. I'm smoking today the Robert Caldwell Blind Man's Bluff line, limited edition. This is Trouble, and so This is Trouble is it's been introduced under the Blind Man's Bluff line. It's really different from the other stuff that they have in that line. This is also a reimagining of the blend for this particular cigar that was introduced. I don't know. I know. I got it in 2021. I think that's when this was released. So it may have been a few years before that. It was introduced under a different wrapper, but this wrapper is a Mexican San Andres wrapper. The binder is Dominican. The filler is Dominican Corojo, Dominican Double Ligero, and Nicaraguan Habano. They're saying that this cigar is just a little bit different than the norm for what they do. You've got a primary band with what appears to be a 1920s thug. Next to that, it says "We Own the Night," and then you have the Blind Man's Bluff Maduro on that side. Now you've got a secondary band where you really can't see what's written, but if you look closely, it says "This is Trouble." I think this would have looked nicer if it had been gold letters, perhaps, and that would have looked cool. And they could have left it embossed as they did, and so that would have matched pretty nice. There is also something that says Danley. I'm thinking this is referring to Danley, Honduras, and that seems strange to me because there's nothing Honduran about the cigar, right? I mean, it's made in the Dominican Republic, as far as I know, and it's got no Honduran tobacco in it. I know that some of the original versions did, but this obviously, unless it's paying a nod to that origin cigar by including that. So it's been aged a year, just about a month shy from a year, and maybe two, and it's, I'm getting it. It's tasting and starting off very similar to when I had it a year ago. It's just very similar. The leather isn't as intense. It's a little softened up, but it's a little hay-like. There's a lot of hay. There's a lot of dry. It's like a dry grain. Yeah, and it's just that, right? With a tinge of pepper. I'm getting the corojo. I am. I'm getting that earthiness, some of that spice but it's not coming together right. So I'm gonna take some time with it and come back. What's to be said here? It's only moved gradually since I last saw you, and draw seemed a little conservative, and I just gave it a little nudge, soft nudge, and it really improved. But I'm still not getting anything that I can say is satisfactory for me. It's it's hard, like, it's not disagreeable. The cigar is, it's not, but there isn't anything particularly special or deeply satisfying when I'm smoking it. Okay. um, it has a very good aroma. It does. I'll give it that. I think the draw's fine now. Minor issue. Was never a real concern. The burn line's been pretty on point. I haven't had any issues with the burn line whatsoever, and it has it has performed. It hasn't completely let me down. There have been a few moments of a deep coffee-like flavor with a hint of cocoa, and while very little sweetness, a good dose of earthiness along with a tinge of pepper, which is kind of what it's been doing for me. Yeah, I mean it's okay. I think this cigar sort of has kind of gotten a bad rap from what I've heard, especially amongst people that I've spoken with. It's been kind of mixed, where one group likes the cigar and the other group is like, nah, not really. It's not doing it for me. And what what I think is fresh, the cigar, as I remember it, I smoked a few. It was just really leathery, really bitter. Didn't really come together. It was just really off. And obviously, once again, and this is not always the case. I want everybody to know this. I know you may hear me say it often, and you may think to yourself, this is the way to go. But sometimes I don't do it intentionally, and sometimes when I do, it's because I know I've experimented with that cigar before, right? Or that particular cigar maker. So I know what to expect from an aging of a year or two, or for that matter, three. Now, once you start doing this, I'm sure many of you have already and are experts and pros at it, and that's great. I would say uh, that's that's how you know if it's for you. Aging a particular cigar for a year or two. I felt that the brute force of some of the leather and some of the bitterness in this cigar might be well served with a year in the coffin. And in fact, it made it tolerable. It made the cigar tolerable, is what it did. Did it save me money from not having to, you know, possibly not smoke it or give it away? Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, because uh, it's kind of like what I expected it to be for what it was after a year, and I did. That was the game plan. Age it a year and make it tolerable enough to smoke, in the sense that I won't have to complain about anything. Originally, with the three cigars that I smoked originally fresh, I didn't have issues with the burn lines either, and I didn't have any issues with the draws on either of them and on any of them. It was just the flavors, right? So the aging process obviously really affected that in this case, and made the cigar just a bit more enjoyable. I can puff on it, feel this earthy hay, an absence of leather and bitterness, replaced by more of the hay and a bit of pepper with some cocoa, some, but not an exorbitant amount. There's not a lot here. This is actually not as bad as it. It's a little boring, but it's it's doable. Look, I'm looking over the notes on the cigar. Mexican San Andres wrapper with the Dominican Corojo, with the Nicaraguan added, which I think blends well, obviously, with the Dominican. On paper, it seems like this is one damn tasty cigar. Not because of a description boldly testifying to how great the tobacco is or how wonderful the flavors are, but just because you get this sense that Robert Caldwell really got some good tobacco and crafted a really good cigar. And it's not the worst cigar, but it's it's got its moments where you got a, a few puffs with a deeper cocoa note and just a good amount of raw earth, right? Just raw earth under it in the finish, and it's good. It's good with the pepper too, but then you'll get another puff where you get a little bit more espresso in the finish. Look, I can see why this cigar is gonna be loved by many, and probably not disliked but disregarded by others. It's an okay cigar. On the Eastern Coast, it's about $10-11. 5x52, slightly bigger than your typical Robusto. A little bit more tobacco in there for you. Well rolled, good construction. Like I said before, good aroma, decent presentation. I mean, folks, it's not that it's a bad cigar. It's just when you're reviewing a cigar, you just have to, as you tell the finer points and the lesser points of the cigar, and then occasionally you're fortunate enough to have deep history that you could talk about and relate to. But in regards to just what the cigar tastes like, in this particular review, it's just not coming together for me. And this is speaking as someone who had notes on the when they were first originally released last year, and then now a year later, as I try to see what are the biggest differences. And for me, the biggest difference was that it was just much more tolerable and slightly more enjoyable. Yes, I will say that. Because where you might have gotten a deeper leather and a heavier bitter espresso finish, you now get more of an earthy hay with some pepper and some deep cocoa notes from time to time. So that part was good. Like I said, it had its moments. So I just want to say that really, as I'm smoking this down, I'm approaching the secondary band. I've had this cigar enough to tell you that it will get a little bit, a little bit more espresso finish, like bitter, like in the finish. That's happened with quite a number of the Caldwell Maduros that I've had. It's just the thing that happens as you get down to the nub and the concentration of the tobacco oil and sludge comes forward. It's just, you're going to get those bitter notes. I will say this, and I think I've said it before, there are still people who really like that and enjoy that type of flavor. And they welcome that. So if that's what they like, that's what you like. And I want to thank you all for taking the time and watching this video. And till next time on Backyard Cigars.